Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Just going to allow everyone to enter the webinar. Get started in a moment. All right, looks like we're ready to go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Vino. I'm Executive Director of the Group Insurance Commission. We are grateful that you have joined us this morning. This is the third and final of three public information sessions that we're holding this week. As you may know, we hold these sessions every year as part of our process to finalize the design and premiums for health insurance plans for the coming annual enrollment. We are holding these sessions virtually by Zoom and also live streaming on YouTube. And of course, we will post the video of this session to the GIC's website at mass.gov/GIC. Our plan this morning is to do a 30-minute or so presentation followed by a question and answer period. I'll be joined by Erica Schiavelli, our Deputy Executive Director, as well as a number of other colleagues. Erica will assist with logistics, and others will assist with the live Q&A, which I'll talk about in a moment. I also want to note two housekeeping items at the outset. First of all, your participation in this public information session is not required. These are for your information and completely voluntary, but we're happy you've joined us. Secondly, we do have closed captioning for those attending today. That's embedded in the stream, as well as via a link in the Zoom chat. And if you utilize ASL, American Sign Language, that information will also be available in the chat. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to start with a brief overview of the Group Insurance Commission and the companies that we work with. Many of you will find this very familiar, so we won't spend too much time on that. But we do want to take a moment to talk a little bit about who we are, what our role is, and how we operate. Then we'll walk through what you can expect for the upcoming plan year. The plan design, the premiums, again, the vendors we work with. And then we'll respond to questions and comments verbally at the end. So that said, you may submit questions, excuse me, at any time during the presentation using the Q&A tab. That is typically at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will be reviewing questions, and we have staff on hand to respond to them real time right in the Q&A tab. With as many participants as we have, nearly 500, of course, we may not be able to get to every question, but we will get to as many as we can. And we will take everything that you hear tonight and do three things with this information. Number one, we'll compile and publish on our website an updated frequently asked questions or FAQ document. We will also be pulling together a comprehensive report of these sessions. And finally, we will present a summary of these sessions and what we've learned to our commission at their February 29th meeting. As I mentioned earlier, all of these materials will be posted on the GIC's website at mass.gov/GIC. And I also want to note that for those of you who may wish to make a more lengthy statement, or if you have questions about your specific coverage, very detailed specific coverage, or that include personal details, we strongly encourage you to send those as written comments to the online contact form that you see linked here in the screen. This will assist us in protecting your privacy. So with that, let's jump in. This year's annual enrollment will run from April 3rd to May 1st. And again, as you may know, this is the period in which anyone who's eligible for GIC coverage can make changes to your insurance choices. And this is all for coverage that starts this coming July 1st, 2024. So please mark your calendars. As always, immediately prior to the launch of annual enrollment on April 3rd, you will have access to your benefit guides in time to review and make the best decisions for you. So the GIC has been doing a lot of work to make it easier and more convenient for you to interact with us. As many of you know, GIC has an online GIC member benefits portal called My GIC Link. You can access that again at mass.gov/GIC. All state and municipal active employees and retirees, if you have a valid email address, you will have access to the portal. Through the portal, once you register, you'll be able to update your personal information. You'll be able to view your benefits at any time, 24/7 throughout the year. If you have a qualifying event and you need to make changes, you can also do that through the portal. And it's a great way also to learn about and register for future member information sessions ahead of annual enrollment. But you must register for the portal. We do want to make sure that it is a very secure website. So I do encourage you, for those of you who have not yet signed up for the portal, to do so. All right, with that, I'll start with a quick reminder of some important facts about the Group Insurance Commission. And as always, we start with our mission. Rather than read it off the slide here, I'd just like to highlight some key words that we keep very central to us. First, top of the middle line, our members, you. You're always and always should be at the heart of what we do. As I like to say, we serve those who serve, whether it's the Commonwealth or one of the cities and towns that purchase through the GIC. The second thing to note is high quality and affordable benefits. So here we're balancing two critical objectives. We want to make sure that the benefits are comprehensive and high quality, the benefits you've come accustomed to as a public employee. But we also need to do everything we can to make sure that that's at a cost that you and the state and local governments that also fund your benefits can afford. So that's our mission. And in order to deliver on that mission, we offer a range of benefits from healthcare to dental and vision, life and long-term disability. We also have some other programs that are available to many, but not all of our members. For instance, the GIC's flexible spending accounts, or FSAs, are only available to active state employees, as cities and towns frequently offer their own FSA programs. And the Employee Assistance Program, as it sounds, it's for employees. So as indicated, it's for active state and municipal employees. So those are the benefits that we offer. So some key facts about the GIC: we are growing, our membership is growing. We have now about 460,000 members, including 110,000 retirees, which makes us the largest purchaser of health insurance in the Commonwealth, with a $3 billion budget. We are governed by a 17-member commission, and of course, we partner with a wide range of agencies, 918 different agencies at the state, regional, and local government level. So this slide depicts how GIC benefits are funded. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, through the budget, through annual appropriations, funds a significant share of your benefits, here highlighted in dark blue. The cities and towns that purchase through the GIC also pay a significant portion of your premium. For those of you who work for cities and towns, that's highlighted in green here. And of course, you, our members, also pay a portion of your premium, which in most cases is through a deduction in your payroll check. Without getting too much into the weeds here, it's a good reminder, though, that the GIC benefits are financed in a little different way that many of you may be accustomed to in the private sector. We are self-insured, which means that the GIC, through the state budget, holds the insurance risk, not the insurance companies that you're enrolled in. So the way this works is when you receive healthcare services, your doctor sends a bill to the insurance company that in turn pays the doctor, and the insurance companies then bill the GIC on a weekly basis, and we in turn reimburse the insurance companies. So an important implication of this is that if over the course of the year, our members use more healthcare services than we anticipate, the state will pick up that extra cost, but you, the member, will not. And if members use fewer healthcare services as expected, then the Commonwealth will simply pay less than they had projected. All right, so before we move on, just a reminder that you may submit questions at any time during the presentation using the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. We will be reviewing those and responding to as many of them as we can. We will also, as we review those, identify some that we will address verbally after the presentation, so stick around for that. Also, again, we want to protect your privacy. So if you have questions that are very specific to you and your benefits or your healthcare, please use the online contact form that is noted here in the screen, or give us a phone call. So now we'll move on to say a brief word about our premium rates and plan design for the coming year. So here, what we present are preliminary numbers as we will be working to refine them over the next 6 weeks. So the final numbers that we show here may be slightly higher or slightly lower, but this is our working estimate at this time. Unfortunately, we are looking at larger premium increases this year than we've had in the recent past. So I draw your attention to the green box in the middle. You'll see that we are projecting an aggregate average increase of 9.6%. This is a weighted average of all of our plans together that includes Medicare and non-Medicare plans. So this is an all-in average. So it's important to note that the changes to premiums for specific plans will likely be different from that. So this being an average, some plans will see an increase that is higher than that. Other plans will see an increase that is lower than that. And those details will become clearer as we get into March. But the key for you as members is really, as you select your plans this year, as always, make sure you carefully evaluate your options so that you have the health plan that really meets your needs, because there will be a wide range of price points and different types of options. So we understand that rising premiums are a hardship. They're a hardship for you, they're a hardship for all of us. So we take this challenge very seriously. But the challenges to affordability in healthcare are very real, and they are increasing for the GIC and for everyone else that purchases insurance. Ultimately, when the cost of healthcare goes up, which is happening here, the cost of premiums that pay for them also goes up. And that's driven largely by two dynamics: the prices charged by doctors and hospitals for the services that they provide to you, our members. Those prices are rising at a faster rate this year. And this is a problem that the state as a whole really has to face, and we are part of that. Also, the cost of prescription drugs, probably won't surprise you, is increasing also at a faster rate this year as drug manufacturers command higher and higher prices, especially for new drugs that they bring to the market, many of which can be really life-changing for you, but also come at a significantly high price. So these are challenges that are not unique to the GIC. Premiums are increasing for everyone because the cost pressures that are driving this really are broad challenges within the entire healthcare system, and we are a part of that healthcare system. That said, I am pleased to say that we are making no changes to plan design for the coming fiscal year, so copays and deductibles for our plans will be the same next year as they are today. Our longstanding preference at the GIC is that we limit year-to-year changes and really focus changes on the years when we do a procurement. Of course, that was last year. We understand that navigating insurance can be difficult and confusing, so we want to make sure that we're not making sort of year after year after year changes that you then have to get used to again. So as you will recall, we had a procurement, a recontracting required by procurement rules and laws in the state last year. And when we did that, we made a number of changes to the companies that we work with, but also some changes to plan design, so copays and deductibles. So as always, while our plan designs are not changing, provider networks sometimes change throughout the year, and your pharmacy formulary can sometimes change throughout the year. So it really is important to check with the health plan, the one that you're enrolled in, or any plan that you're looking to maybe move to make sure that you understand what providers are in the network. But I think the important takeaway here really is that we are making no material changes to plan design. We've decided to sort of keep it steady for this year, allow you to get accustomed to the changes that we made last year before we make any more changes. So to close this section, I thought it might be helpful to just give a quick summary of the process that we go to prepare for annual enrollment, particularly the rates and plan designs. A lot of this is how we work with our commission. So our first step, which we did in December, was to present our premium projections at that time. And as I noted, this is based on information that we had back in December as we look 6 months into the future. So there's a good deal of uncertainty to that. And then we use the subsequent months to really refine our projections and work with our commission. The second step, which we did last week, was to recommend any plan design changes that we want to implement for the coming year. But as I noted in the last slide, we've decided not to do that this year, no changes to plan design. The next step, not noted here, but an important one, is that we come back to you, our members, at the end of January and throughout this week to inform you of the outcome of this work. And then finally, we will return to our commission on February 29th and present the premium rates for each individual health insurance plan. So this will all be brought together to you in your benefit guides and reflected on the My GIC Link portal for annual enrollment. All right, so what are the companies that we're working with for this coming fiscal year? The highlight here is they are not changing. So we'll start with our pharmacy benefits and flexible spending accounts. Here again, the vendors are not changing. If you're on one of our active employee plans, CVS Caremark will continue to provide your pharmacy benefits. And for those of you on our Medicare plans, it's CVS SilverScript that will continue to provide your benefits. We are making no major changes to the plan. But as always, as I mentioned earlier, CVS may make changes to tiering and the drug formulary during the year. So it's really important to keep an eye on those sorts of changes and be in touch with CVS Caremark. Similarly, for the flexible spending account, as many of you will recall, we moved to this company Task, and they will continue to offer the FSA plans to our state employees. Now I'll say a word about the Medicare and non-Medicare plans and the companies that we'll work with. Before I do that, I do want to note one change that is happening. Another one of our health insurance plans has decided to change its name. We do occasionally see this, and we have over the last few years. So UniCare, a longstanding partner of the GIC, they are rebranding their company and changing the name to WellPoint. I do want to note here that all of the names of the specific plans, those that we adjusted, some of which we adjusted last year through the procurement, those are not changing. So Total Choice, Plus, Community Choice, Medicare Extension, those will all be the continue to be the same plan names, but instead of UniCare on your ID card, you'll see WellPoint on your ID card. So UniCare will be sending information about this name change to our members, so please keep an eye out for that. And for those of you who are on a UniCare plan today and continue to be on a UniCare plan in the next fiscal year, you will be receiving a new ID card with the WellPoint name on it. I just want to emphasize that this is a change in the company name only. There are no other material changes to these plans. So that name change aside, as reflected here, there are no changes to the companies we work with to provide your non-Medicare plans. We continue to have options for those outside of New England through our national network plan. We have a regional network in Western Mass. All throughout New England, you have access to a range of 4 different broad network plans. And for those of you in Massachusetts, most of Massachusetts, we continue to have our 2 limited network options. But with rising premiums, again, it's important to evaluate your options. If the plan that you're in is becoming too expensive for you, we do have options that you can choose that can lower your premium. Similarly here, same companies that we're working with to provide the Medicare benefits. We have the national network plans through UniCare, now WellPoint, Harvard Pilgrim, and Health New England, and the Tufts Medicare Preferred, which is a Medicare Advantage plan available to most residents of Massachusetts. All right, so before we move to the question and answer portion of the session, I do want to give a final reminder that you can continue to submit questions to the Q&A tab, typically at the bottom of your screen. We'll be reviewing those questions and replying to as many as we can. For those of you on Zoom or those of you with questions that we don't get to today, again, feel free to use that online contact form on the screen or to give us a phone call. And we'll, again, I believe we have those links to that contact form in the chat. So with that, 6 minutes ahead of time, happy to move to the question and answer period. At this point, my colleague Erica Schiavelli, who's been monitoring the Q&As, will raise for our response some questions that we've gotten that we think others may want to hear about. Erica?
Great, thank you, Matt. Matt mentioned I've been monitoring the Q&A and have marked several as those that we'd like to answer live. So I'm just starting off at the top of the list here. We've had a couple of questions about the GIC portal, the My GIC link. So first is there had been a password reset issue. Folks are wondering if that has since been resolved. And the second question around the portal is kind of what does someone need to know, or what information do they need to have to be able to register for the portal? So I know we have a slide up right now, but wanted to see if you, Matt, or Paul had anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I'd direct that one to Paul Murphy, who's our longtime Director of Operations. Paul?
Thanks, Matt. The password reset issue that occurred last year during open enrollment has been resolved. What we found out is that some state entities were blocking the password reset when members were using their work email address. So we worked with those entities, particularly around the trial court, to resolve that issue to allow the password reset to go through. As far as information from GIC for the portal, on the registration page, it does ask questions to the member regarding personal information such as name, date of birth, and email address. If that information doesn't match what GIC has on file, the registration doesn't go through. In cases like that, I would suggest that you go to our website and complete a GIC online contact form, and then we can reach out to you to walk you through the registration process for the portal.
Thank you, Paul. As usual, we've gotten several questions about kind of the process of turning 65 and what folks need to know. So I think it would be helpful, Paul, if you could do your usual, unless Matt has something he'd like to add first.
No, just to note that we have, I'm sure folks are aware of this, but we do have some very rich information, including a video that will walk you through the steps you need to go through. Those are all available on our website, but Paul can describe it in a general way.
Sure, thanks, Matt. I can give you a couple of high-level scenarios that we see that are common when someone turns 65. So if anyone has any questions, like Matt said, our website has a bunch of questions regarding turning 65 in the process with the GIC, and you can always contact us using the online contact form. But in general, if a member is retired, collecting a pension, has GIC coverage, in turning age 65, 3 months before their 65th birthday, GIC will send a letter to the member at home. The letter will state the instructions for enrolling in Medicare and offer the Medicare supplemental plan choices that we offer through the GIC. So what that means is that if you, the member, are eligible for Medicare Part A, which is hospital insurance, and Part B, which is doctor's insurance through Social Security, state law requires you to enroll in Medicare Part A and Part B and select a Medicare supplemental plan with the GIC. So we will send those instructions out 3 months before the 65th birthday, and the same rules apply to a spouse. So if you're covering a spouse under your health plan, your spouse will also receive a letter from the GIC. And again, that's if you're collecting a pension, have GIC health coverage, and you are retired. We get a lot of questions from members that are going to continue working after age 65. In cases like that, what GIC recommends is that you can enroll in Medicare Part A if you're going to continue working after age 65. You do not have to enroll in Medicare Part B. Your GIC health plan is primary when you continue working after age 65. So Part A is free. You can enroll in Part A, or you can choose not to enroll in Part A. There's no penalty with Social Security. But we do recommend that you defer the Medicare Part B if you're going to continue working after age 65. And the same applies if you're covering a spouse under your health plan. If you retire after age 65, when GIC receives the retirement information from your agency, we will then also send out a letter similar to the age 65 letter stating that you have 7 months from the time of retirement to enroll in Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. If you're covering a spouse, your spouse also has to enroll in Medicare Part A and Part B. At that time, you can select a Medicare supplemental plan, and GIC will move you into the Medicare plan that you elect. So that can take place after we receive your information after age 65. You have a 7-month window to apply. Many people call us and say they're not eligible for Social Security. They worked for the Commonwealth or they never paid into the system. That's fine. But what GIC needs to know is when we contact you with our letter to select Medicare plan, you have to apply to Social Security for your Medicare benefits. Medicare will either tell you that you are eligible for Medicare Part A or Part B, or you're not eligible. For those that are not eligible, you simply return the letter that Social Security is going to send you stating you are not eligible with our letter that we sent to you, and then GIC will allow you to continue in the same plan you had, the non-Medicare plan, after age 65. So those are some of the high level. There's a lot of situations, but in general, that's some of the high level common scenarios we see.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions on this every year, as you can imagine. I do just want to note we've got a terrific team of staff at the GIC who can help you understand the sort of ins and outs for you that are so specific. So many of these things are so situation and facts specific. So if it's confusing to you still at the end of the day, please feel free to reach out to us.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Matt. Another question that we get often and have gotten several times already this morning is why the GIC doesn't offer a +1 plan as opposed to just the individual or family plan. So if we could speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, happy to. This is one we frequently get, and we do continue to evaluate that possibility. We do at the GIC have pretty high enrollment of family plans, and within those plans, a pretty high number of dependents. So we're constantly evaluating the modeling here. So of course, when you create such a different plan type, you're splitting the risk pool, and that inherently creates disruption for members. Particularly in this case, for those members who would remain in family plans, which is a significant majority of our members. So we want to try to limit disruption as a general principle at the GIC. That said, we will continue to evaluate this. We do know that there's interest in it, and if there's a time and a circumstance and a way for us to do this that's not super disruptive, then we can consider that.
Great, thank you. We had a question come in about explaining the difference, let me just scroll up to it, between PPO and indemnity.
Yeah, I think I'll kick that to either Paul or Jim. I could probably answer it, but I have an instinct that Paul could probably answer it better than I could.
Sure. And Jim, you can chime in too if you want. PPO usually refers to a preferred provider organization. So it's a network of doctors and hospitals that contract with the health plan. So they offer a wide range of coverage. Their networks are pretty large, but it is a network of doctors that participate with the health plan. On the indemnity side, the indemnity is usually referred to that you can go to any hospital or doctor that you choose. So that's what the word indemnity versus a PPO. So PPO is a fairly large network, and indemnity is freedom to go to any hospital or doctor that you choose. Jim, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, Paul, I think you covered it. Really, there's not much more for me to add there. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions here, just asking to explain the insurance buyback program.
Yeah, we're going to pull in Paul again. He's the expert on our buyback plan.
I'll stay on the camera for a little while. So the buyout program is offered twice a year to GIC state employees and retirees. It's not available to municipal members that are covered through the GIC. How the buyout program works is it's offered first time in the year during the annual enrollment period. So the upcoming annual enrollment period, we have the buyout program, and we offer the buyout program in the fall as well. How the buyout program works is that you can apply for the buyout. It is an application that you can complete through our website or through the member portal. The requirements are that you have to have health coverage with GIC on January 1st through June 30th. So for this year to be eligible, you have to be enrolled in the GIC health plan January 1st of 24 through June 30th of 24. The GIC will send a member a check once a month if you are retired. If you are working for the Commonwealth, the reimbursement will go through your payroll system. So the amount of the buyback is 25% of the full cost premium. So you'll receive that reimbursement starting in August, monthly for 12 months. It is a one-time deal. It's 12 months only. And for the fall buyout, same rules apply. You have to have coverage on July 1st through December 31st of 24. And the buyout program will begin on January 1st of 25. So you have to be enrolled in GIC health coverage for the 6 months prior. You must maintain your life insurance during the buyback period, and it is only for 12 months. It's not available to anyone that cancels their coverage throughout the year or any new employee. So please keep that in mind. And there's information in the upcoming benefit guides that will be going out for open enrollment and our website.
Great, thank you, Paul. Another question that I assume is going to get kicked to you, Paul. Can life insurance purchase be increased without a health evaluation through or GIC insurance?
Okay, for the life insurance piece, again, it's not available to municipal employees. The municipal employees are only eligible for health insurance. On the state side, as a new hire, you can elect up to 8 times your salary for life insurance. So it's a one-time deal without medical evidence as a newly hired employee of the Commonwealth. If you do not elect the coverage or you elect an amount less than 8 times, then anytime you want to increase that coverage as a state employee, you have to take medical evidence of insurability with the insurance carrier to increase or apply for that coverage. The insurance company, which is currently MetLife, has to approve you for the medical evidence in order for you to have that coverage. You can apply for life insurance as a state employee anytime during the year. It does not have to be during annual enrollment. For retirees are allowed to keep their life insurance into retirement if they choose to pay the monthly premium. So the problem is that many retirees ask if they can increase that coverage after they retire. You're only allowed to keep the coverage you had at retirement into retirement if you pay for that coverage monthly. If you never had life insurance prior to retirement and you retire, you're not eligible for life insurance as a retiree through the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Paul. Next question. This individual has an adult disabled dependent and just went through the eligibility process for him. Would that person need to do that again so soon for annual enrollment? I think I know the answer to this, but take it along.
The GIC does have disabled dependent coverage. The member applies for coverage for their disabled dependent, and if approved with GIC, there is a renewal. So most of the disabled dependent coverages renew on every 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. So there is a renewal required at that time. When we send the approval letter out, we will give the renewal date. GIC also sends out a reminder 60 days before the renewal date, and we will need updated medical information to continue that coverage for the disabled dependent. But you do not have to apply for that during annual enrollment. Once you're approved, you receive the letter, there's a renewal date, and we will follow up with you 60 days before the renewal date to continue that coverage.
Thanks, Paul. Before we jump into the next question, I just wanted to flag for folks that Mike Berry is in the chat function of the webinar, and he's posting links to a lot of with answers to a lot of the questions that folks are asking in the Q&A. So I would encourage you to take a look there as well to have some additional information, such as what the buyout program is, to give you some additional details there. Matt, I see that you wanted to answer a question, seeing if there was any feedback from MGB regarding the separation from Dana-Farber and how that would impact coverage.
Yeah, so this is really only the most recent example of changes that happen in the healthcare delivery system that I'm sure will be of interest to people who access care at some of these facilities. We do see these things from time to time. We do monitor them very closely. Our primary goal is to make sure that as these changes take place outside of the GIC, but really in the delivery system, that we preserve access and minimize disruption for all of our members. As it relates to Dana-Farber and Mass General, that one is on a longer time frame, so I do not anticipate any impacts for GIC members, certainly this year, and perhaps not even next year. So that one's on a little bit of a longer term trajectory.
Thanks, Matt. So we've gotten a couple questions about kind of the timeline here, when folks can expect to receive information about what premiums are going to look like, and as well as the dates of annual enrollment. So if we could just kind of review when folks will should expect when to get that information, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work that the GIC has to do on the back end of these decisions by our commission, and preparing for the launch of annual enrollment on April 3rd. And so what you can expect is that all of this information, as I mentioned earlier, will be brought together in your benefit guides that you'll receive just prior to the launch of annual enrollment. And I believe, Paul can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that the member benefits portal will reflect those changes really with the start of annual enrollment.
Yes, all of the plan information, updated information for websites and rates will be in the portal immediately prior to annual enrollment. And we'll also have, for those that want to use the portal to change plans, you'll see a yellow annual enrollment banner. And if you click on the banner, you can start the enrollment process through the portal for annual enrollment.
But it may, Paul, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I always hate to get out over my skis a little bit here on details, but for those of you who may be wishing to evaluate your options before the start of annual enrollment on the portal, we really need to keep the portal with our current offerings right up until the start of annual enrollment. Is that correct? So if you log into the portal at the end of March, you're not yet likely to see the changes or the options that are applicable for you for the coming fiscal year.
Correct. That is correct, Matt. We'll update the plan rates and information right before annual enrollment, but if you log in prior to that, you will see the existing information, plan and rates, etc., in the portal prior to March. But you will be able to see there's a plan comparison tile where you click on and you'll be able to see that, and that will be updated when annual enrollment begins.
Thank you. Let's see, going back here. We have a few questions about international coverage for folks who are living abroad or traveling abroad. So what plans cover kind of out of the US?
Yeah, I think that's probably another good one for Paul. And the reason we keep kicking to Paul is because Paul has a very extensive service to the GIC. If anyone ever has a question internally, Paul knows the answer. They're all in his head.
Thank you, Matt, I think, for that one. But for international coverage, if you're living outside of the country, the plan that would cover you is the UniCare Total Choice Plan. That is the coverage for international residents.
Thank you. We've gotten several questions here about a rule change that's coming on July 1st of 2024 Before I ask the question, I would just like to note that this question is only applicable, and the answer is only applicable for those who are future employees of the Commonwealth, as well as our GIC coordinators. So if you are a current member of the GIC, this is not applicable to you. But just wanted to note that there are several questions here regarding a rule change where the 60-day waiting period is set to be reduced starting on July 1st, 2024. Matt, do you want me to just go ahead and do the overview of what's going on?
Yeah, sure. Just to say that it's something that we're really excited to tackle. It's something we've been working on and looking at for several years. And we've been really, really hard at work in the background over the last couple of years, but more intensely over the last 6 months. But Erica, you've been critical to this work and know a lot more about it than I do. So go right ahead.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, there's a rule change coming on July 1st of 2024 that we're really excited about, in which the waiting period for newly hired employees to the Commonwealth will be reduced from its current 60-day waiting period. You can expect, for our GIC coordinators, you can expect more information from us coming out this week, but also in the spring, about how to deal with that rule change and how best to kind of get folks situated. I think what's important to note here is that beginning on July 1st, that is a hard deadline. Anyone hired before July 1st would not be eligible for the reduced waiting period, and anyone after July 1st would be eligible for the reduced waiting period. So because this session is really directed to our members and what they can come to expect for the upcoming plan year, we want to make sure to keep that focus. But please know that we will be reaching out. We have reached out already to explain kind of what's going on, and we will be in frequent communications with you all. You can expect that in the spring that we'll have info sessions similar to this one, focused solely on that new rule and the reduced waiting period. So please stay tuned, and we're really excited to roll this out. Let's see here. So kind of relatedly, Paul, we have a question about what new hires need to do to get onto the portal, if they can just kind of log on their own. So if you could just review what that process is like in terms of getting your registration email and such.
Sure. What happens is when GIC is notified of a newly hired employee, now there's multiple payroll systems and multiple entities, so they vary on how GIC is notified. But once GIC is notified of the newly hired employee, and we are giving an email address for that employee, when we enter the information into our system, the following day, a registration email with a PIN number will be sent to that employee's email address. You simply then go to the registration page, enter the information, put in the PIN number, and it will register you and take you to the portal. When you get to the home page on the portal, there is a button that says Enroll Now. And as a new employee, you can use the portal, click on the button. You have 21 days from the date of hire to elect your GIC benefits. So the portal will walk you through all of the benefits that you are eligible for. For instance, state employees get the life, long-term disability, dental, vision. Municipal, it'll walk you through the health insurance because that's the only benefit that's available. So it's customized based on where you are hired as a municipal or state employee. So it's a great tool to use, and it'll walk you through all of the screens and benefit elections and send you a confirmation at the end of everything that you enrolled in.
Thank you, Paul. Again, related to my GIC link, we have a question about whether survivors would have access to my GIC link, and if so, what the estimated timeline might be for that.
Survivors are eligible for the My GIC link. One thing to note, in order for you to be eligible as a survivor, you have to apply for survivor health coverage with the GIC. Once we enroll you in the health insurance coverage and we have an email address, a registration email will go out. But we have to do the initial enrollment for you as a survivor for health insurance. But once we enter you in for coverage, the registration will go out and you can use the portal thereafter to update or make changes to your coverage.
Great. We're getting a few portal questions now, so I'm just going to stick with that.
Okay.
Will we be resending My GIC portal login information to those who have not yet enrolled in the portal?
No, we don't resend portal information. The email goes out with the one-time registration and PIN. You can contact the GIC and we can guide you through that, but we don't send out any register information for people that are not registered. We do remind people that you can do it anytime. If you still have the original email that went out with the PIN, then you can register throughout the year. But we would have to walk you through the process to get you in the system if you don't have that original PIN email that went out.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Just scrolling down through our questions. See. This is about dependents being covered until age 26. Do they have to be enrolled in college full-time? This person specifically keeps having to have their child's college forms completed, or is that just for dental and vision?
It sounds like that person has coverage through a union benefit. I don't have any insight to it, but for GIC, dependents are covered till the end of the month in which the GIC, covered to the end of the month in which the dependent turns age 26 for both health and dental. We do not require college applications to continue coverage for dependents. So it sounds like there's a requirement through your vision provider, which could be a union benefit, that you have to supply college application. But for GIC, it is not required. Dependents are covered all the way through the end of the month in which they turn 26 for both health and dental.
Great, thank you, Paul. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just kind of making sure we're
While
getting
you're
caught
doing
up on
that,
the
Erica,
questions.
just note that we've answered 116 questions in the live Q&A. So
Yes.
thank you for all those questions. Excellent engagement, which I always like to see.
Let's see here. Sorry, the screen just keeps jumping every time I try to get into a question. Let's see. So we've gotten still, oh, go ahead.
No, I just thought I'd help you. I see a couple of questions that we have some members asking. Is turning age 65 a qualifying event to enroll in GIC coverage? And turning 65 is not the qualifying event for enrolling in GIC coverage. Just to be clear, GIC does have a list of qualifying events. You can find them on our website. And the most common is marriage, birth of a child, loss of coverage. So if you're covered through a spouse outside of the GIC and you're losing that coverage, there's information on the website regarding our qualifying events. Most of our qualifying events have a 60-day window to apply for the GIC coverage. So it's useful to take a look at the qualifying events, and those are the events that we would allow someone to update, change, or cancel their coverage.
Thanks, Paul. We've gotten a couple of questions, not just today, but across the 3 sessions so far, about folks who reside in New Hampshire and have providers in Massachusetts. And maybe it would be helpful to talk about a little bit about what eligibility is based on in terms of residents as opposed to providers. So I think that would be a helpful overview.
Sure. So the way the plans work with GIC is many of the eligibility for the plans are based on residency, not where you're seeing a provider. So the state has plans like the Harvard Pilgrim Explorer plan, the UniCare Plus, and the UniCare Total Choice, which are available throughout all of the New England states. We also offer a HMO plan, Health New England, that services a lot of the Western Mass, and we also have Mass General Brigham that serves most of GIC, and the Harvard Quality, which serves most of Massachusetts. But it's really based on residency, so that's how they determine what plans you're eligible for. For members that live outside of New England, the only plan that is available nationally is the Harvard Pilgrim Access America. So we get that question a lot, but you have to reside outside. It's not a matter if you're a dependent or someone is living outside, but if you, the member, live in Massachusetts, that plan's not available. The UniCare Total Choice would be the plan that would cover that dependent. So it really has a lot to do with residency, and all of those qualifications are in our benefit guides and on our website.
Just to that point too, Paul, I just want to note for people that the residence that you have on file for us is really important for us to make sure that you remain enrolled in a plan for which you're eligible. So if you change your address, it's really important for you to notify us of your change of address. So I just wanted to flag that. It's something that we frequently come across.
Right, thanks, Matt. And I also like to add to that moving out of a health plan service area also is a qualifying event to change plans. So if a member is moving outside of the health plan service area, that is an event throughout the year in which GIC will allow a plan change.
Great, thank you. Let's see here.
Give you a time to review, Erica. There's a couple of questions here about different offerings that we have. So there was a question about Health New England offering a PPO plan and some observations about our vision plan outside of Massachusetts. Those are all helpful areas of feedback and interest on the part of our members. Those are the types of changes that we typically do through a reprocurement. Again, on the health plan side, we just did it last year. So there's a cycle during which we review all the companies that we work with and just to make sure that we're offering the best and most effective and cost-effective and comprehensive benefits. So thank you for the observations that you've shared, and we'll be taking those back and adding those to our thinking.
Thanks, Matt. So a couple of questions related to disabled dependents and the like. So one is if I have a parent that is on disability and they are currently not eligible for Medicare coverage, are there any plans that I can sign up for that would cover that parent? And relatedly, can a disabled dependent be a covered survivor?
So there's a couple of scenarios there. GIC does not offer coverage to parents. So that's one. We don't have that available to our members. As far as the disabled dependent, as I stated earlier, we offer that coverage to disabled dependents beyond age 26 if they have been approved for the coverage and we have sufficient medical documentation for that coverage. So that coverage can continue as long as we receive the information and it is provided during the renewal, as I stated earlier, 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. If in some cases where we have, say, a surviving spouse who is covering a disabled dependent who is over age 26, and that surviving spouse passes away, the disabled dependent is able to continue coverage as a disabled dependent if the survivor passes away and there's no other surviving parent. So that's how the survivor coverage works.
Great, thank you. Let's see here. We got a question whether acupuncture treatment is covered by any GIC plan.
I think that's probably a question for either Jim or Cameron on the GIC team.
I apologize, Matt. Can you repeat the question? I was in the chat answering questions.
There's a question about whether our GIC plans cover acupuncture. I believe.
Go ahead. I think Cameron has done some work on this, so I'll let him take it.
Right.
Yeah, at this point in time, acupuncture is only covered as an alternative for opioid related as an alternative to opioid related pain medications. Is the only acupuncture covered on our active plans.
Thanks, Cameron. Let's see here. One individual is asking if she's able to keep her health insurance without having GIC Medicare plans. Currently, this person has just insurance. Sorry, let me just make sense of this. This person currently has the insurance they've always had prior to turning 65, but not through Medicare, if they don't wish to pay for extra insurance. So,
So Erica,
Paul,
what I think they're asking is whether or not do they have to enroll in Medicare when they turn age 65. So if a survivor is enrolled in GIC health coverage upon age 65, like I said, the letter will go out 3 months before the 65th birthday. If you are eligible for Medicare Part A and Part B, state law requires you to enroll in Medicare and choose a Medicare supplemental plan with the GIC. If a member chooses not to enroll in Medicare, then their GIC coverage will end. So it is a requirement if you have health coverage with the GIC upon age 65. Or if you retire later, you have to go on Medicare as well.
thanks, Paul. So we have just a couple of questions left here in the Q&A, so I'll just rattle them off here. What happens for someone who doesn't intend to claim Social Security until 72, but needs to use Medicare before then, before this July?
So what I think they're asking is about if they're claiming benefits at age 72, which is the money piece of Social Security versus the Medicare piece. We don't care about when you take the money piece for Social Security, whether you do it at 62 or at a later birthday. What we do require is that if you are insured with GIC and retired at age 65, you must take your Medicare benefits at age 65. So that is different than the piece that you may receive a monthly Social Security check. The Medicare is separate. So you are still required to enroll in Medicare if you have health coverage with the GIC and you are retired upon age 65. Or at later date, if you decide to retire after age 65, you are still required to enroll in Medicare. What I think Social Security will do in those cases, if you choose not to collect your monthly Social Security check, or you're not eligible to collect a check, if you get a check monthly from Social Security, the Medicare Part B premium will be deducted from that Social Security check. And it will only be deducted for you, the person collecting the Social Security check. If you're not eligible to collect a monthly Social Security check, Social Security will bill you quarterly for your Medicare Part B premiums.
Thank you, Paul. Let's see here. We have a question about a retired employee, a retired individual, not an active employee. And do retirees have access to vision coverage?
So if you're retired from the Commonwealth, the GIC does offer a discount vision benefit to members. It's free of charge. It's a discount through Davis Vision, and there's information on our website for that plan. The GIC also, you have to remember, there's a couple of scenarios here that if you are retiring and you are enrolled in GIC's dental vision plan at retirement, GIC will offer COBRA to you if you wish to continue with the GIC dental and vision plan through the COBRA option. You can keep that coverage for 18 months. You pay the monthly premium to GIC, and that coverage is exactly what you had as an active employee, but you have to be enrolled in GIC's dental vision coverage. Members covered through collective bargaining also have the option to continue their dental and vision benefits through their union plan, and you have to contact the union plan for information on that. But if you choose not to do any of the COBRA options or enroll, the GIC does automatically allow all members that have health insurance with the GIC, the discount vision plan is available to members. And there's information on the website, no enrollment forms and no monthly premium.
Thanks, Paul. Let's see here. So this individual has insurance through her husband's prior employer. If they decide that the GIC coverage works better when this person turns 65, would she need to pick up insurance for this annual enrollment as she's the eligible retired employee?
Right, so it sounds like this member is retired from the Commonwealth, but not enrolled in GIC health coverage and getting coverage through a spouse. So the rule for that is a retiree collecting a monthly pension, if you're not enrolled in a GIC health plan, you can apply for health coverage during any annual enrollment period. So that coverage will be effective July 1st of the year in which you applied for coverage. If you lose coverage outside through a spouse, then that loss of coverage is a qualifying event for a retiree to enroll in GIC coverage. We will require proof of loss from the coverage where you're losing through a spouse, and then we allow you to come into GIC through the qualifying event, and you can do that anytime throughout the year when you lose that coverage. But if that doesn't apply, every annual enrollment, a retiree who doesn't have health coverage with the GIC and collects a pension is eligible to apply for coverage with GIC.
Thank you. So we have one more question left in the Q&A just about how to get onto our distribution list. So we'll provide a link where you can join our distribution list. We just had one more question pop up. The only thing that this person needs to do is continue their FSA. Will they need to completely re-enroll for everything this coming annual enrollment?
No. As we always do, unless you make a choice that's different from the choice that you've made, we will continue in that plan. Cameron, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Just quickly, I'd like to add and remind everyone that FSA participation does require active re-enrollment each year, and that is accomplished through the FSA administrator's website, which is TASK. So that is not done through the GIC portal. That is done on the TASK website during the annual enrollment period.
And you'll find information about how to do that in our member benefits guide or through the portal.
Great. And Mike Barry has provided in a link to get onto our distribution list. With that, there are no additional questions in the Q&A section. And we've been all caught up.
All right, so I'm happy to wrap us up. Again, thank you all for joining and for the level of engagement. We got to, I don't know, I think it was north of 160 questions live in the Q&A function. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I do just want to make a plug for staying in touch with us directly. There are so many unique circumstances and situationally dependent circumstances, particularly around retiree coverage and what you need to do when you turn 65. It's a complicated set of rules that, you know, many of them are federal rules. So I would just encourage you to be in touch with our staff and encourage you to use the online contact form or be in touch with us through the portal. We've got people who really know the ins and outs of the specifics here on staff who are happy to walk you through those. And, you know, things get very busy during annual enrollment for our team. So if you can ask those questions anytime. So please feel free to reach out to us directly. We're here to help you. So I hope this has been helpful for you all. Again, we will post all of this onto our website if there's something you want to go back and look at or familiarize yourself with. But just want to thank you all for taking the time to prepare for the coming annual enrollment. The more that you know, I think the more that you can make informed decisions. And that's what we want to do here at the GIC, is make that easier for you. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful Thursday. And thank you for being part of the GIC.